All right, so now we're going to depart a little bit from Lightyear and move on to Ezra Miller.
Oh, look, something less controversial. Thank you, OG.
Why not? Why not? So Ezra Miller, who is going to be in the upcoming Flash movie, assuming it gets released, we'll see. I don't know. And I think he was in the Fantastic Beasts movie as well, right? He was in that franchise. Yeah. So he was in there, and look, he found himself in a lot of hot water legally. And just to give a little kind of set the table just a little bit, without getting too detailed here on YouTube, I think there was something involved with like a minor, and then I don't know, and he basically was like, now he's evading the police. Okay, I guess they were gonna go serve him like a warrant or something like that, and he wasn't home, and then he went on the run, and he was taunting the authorities from like his Instagram account, saying they'll never find him or something weird. I don't know. The guy is really in a lot of hot water. But Dre, overall, Ezra Miller thoughts, this whole situation, this is a major shit show.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and it goes even beyond that case of we talk about the G word here. Well, apparently that's what Ezra Miller was doing to this adolescent youth here, and now the parents are kind of trying to serve him, trying to get an order of protection against him and stuff like that. Apparently he's on the run. Then there's this whole other controversy of Ezra Miller appears to choke a woman in a kind of a video. I think it was this bar in like Iceland that he did this, and so it's like you've got that whole thing going on there. Like you said, he's kind of on the run from authorities and then actually goading them. Apparently there's some Instagram stories that he's published and now may have deleted. Look, this whole thing goes everywhere. And the reason why we're bringing this up is because, well, Warner Brothers Discovery hasn't really said anything about it, which is really kind of weird because, I happen to remember a few years ago when a certain other actor who was actually doing work for Warner Brothers, I know the management teams are different now, but and was also in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, which was unceremoniously taken out of that whole film franchise and replaced with another actor because of some allegations, according to him. And as we've now learned in this very, very famous court case, a certain Johnny Depp, maybe necessarily, it wasn't what it was all cracked up to be. And maybe they made a premature decision based on a lot of the other social implications that were going on at that time. But when it comes to this, when you have maybe video evidence suggesting one thing, when you have allegations of unbelievable misconduct in another, you would think that executives would get in front of this and just say, hey, look, listen, we're not going to continue doing business with this person anymore. Or just better yet, just say, hey, look, listen, we're going to, we have a contract for Ezra Miller in some of these feature films here. We might temporarily suspend that contract pending more investigation or pending more insight into this, And even that would have been kind of would have been a stance. But to not say anything here, I mean, it is unbelievably bizarre. And like you said, OG, if the roles were reversed and maybe it was Bob Chapek at the helm and it was some kind of actor most associated with Disney and they were doing this, I think you're right. I think there would be a lot of consternation and criticism directed towards Chapek's way, which not Ezra Miller, but Zaslav, David Zaslav, is not receiving himself.
No, exactly. If this was Bob Chapek, the Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, Variety would be screaming from the mountaintops, why isn't Chapek making a statement? Why is he sitting on his hands doing nothing? Why isn't Chapek out there looking for the guy? They would have everything. They would have thrown the kitchen sink at Bob Chapek over this. And Zaslav is getting a pass. I don't see any of that urgency. And this has been going on with Ezra Miller for weeks. And the other funny thing, Zaslav, not funny thing, ironic thing more, is Zaslav has been firing people right and left at Warner Brothers. But this is the one person at Warner Brothers that you're going to wonder if we should fire him or not. What is going on?
It's totally bizarre. I mean, this is not Johnny Depp. This is not Tom Cruise. This is not it's Ezra Miller. Like, I mean, come on. People didn't like him necessarily as Flash to begin with. You would think you would use this opportunity to say, hey, you know what, we're going to recast this thing. Oh, whew, it's off our shoulders. Now we can take the DC universe in a different direction. Just even that kind of logic, the fact that they didn't do haven't done anything, and there's been disparate reports out there saying, oh, well, Warner Brothers, it looks like they're going to go ahead and, not renew his contract or not go forward with any more Flash movies with him. It's like, well, wait a minute, why are we getting reports of or rumors of or whatever? Why don't we have that affirmative statement that we would expect from any other CEO, especially Disney, to actually put out there?
It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Casual, what are your thoughts on this whole situation, man? There's a lot to chew on with this one.
I mean, we're all against cancel culture, right? You don't want to see anybody getting fired and life ruined over somebody saying, hey, you did this, so there's that. Roseanne was fired from her show for a joke. James Gunn was fired for posts from 10, 12 years ago, right? Yeah. That we've seen that happen to people over things that literally were words that didn't physically hurt anyone. There was no actual, physical directed at a person. And with this, you've got somebody who has had a series of things that have been brought up and is actually being sought after by law enforcement and avoiding them. And this one is kind of like I don't know. Well, we'll see. We're thinking about it. Jokes are getting people's lives, shows taken out from under them. We got political stances, meaning, okay, we're not working with you anymore. You're out. But then we've got somebody who, like you said, there's allegations of the G word, avoiding law enforcement, not stepping up and saying, hey, no, this isn't anything, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to defend myself because it's all untrue. There's none of that happening. And yet the studio is just kind of sitting on their hands, wondering what to do. Is it because they just don't want to lose money? I don't understand. I mean, at this point, you release that movie, you're going to get 10 cents for it.
Oh yeah. No, at this point, the movie's dead on arrival, and I look, it's funny because I hear from all these trades, Zaslav is the next big guy, the next big thing. He is the next Bob Iger. This is the big visionary that we should all look to now. Well, this is the first true test for Zaslav at Warner Brothers, and he's kind of failing miserably. Now, no one's holding his feet to the fire, but in my opinion, I think that this Ezra Miller, she should have been fired a long time ago, weeks ago. This is crazy. The minute the authorities said they were looking for him, this guy should have been off of Warner Brothers books. And look, I understand Warner Brothers spent a lot of money on that Flash movie, and I think it's coming out in a few months. I think like October, November. Okay, fine. I know you can't just kind of like throw away that investment. Throw it on to HBO Max then. Just throw it on HBO Max. You get what you get. Take the loss. But this guy is so toxic to even be associated with. I am shocked that they haven't come out with an official statement. Is the Flash movie that big of a deal to WB? I mean, this is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
It's absolutely insane. And I would have thought that something would have come out, by now. This has apparently been going on for weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, this is totally insane. Now, look, I do agree with Casual's point. I mean, I hate seeing cancel culture manifest itself. Right. But there has to be kind of this middle ground where, you have some real tangible stuff going on here. You have video evidence in some cases. And we can have the studio kind of take kind of a rational view of it and go, hey, you know what? We'll at least suspend until we know more.
Right.
And I think that'd be like, okay, I get that. I understand that. Nobody wants their film necessarily being, affected by these things, their product being affected by these things. Obviously, when you do, I believe it was Richard Marx gave testimony in the Johnny Depp trial and talked a lot about this. And, nobody wants necessarily a product, their product to be associated with some actor who has some controversy surrounding them, right? I get that. And maybe we should be less inclined to make hasty decisions, just barring Johnny Depp from doing other films and so forth out of hand. I don't think that was necessarily appropriate. But here, I mean, you have a clear case here, and I think we can't come to this middle ground where it's like, okay, we're going to take some steps to kind of, you know, head this off, as it were. It's just not a really good look. And honestly, it's not a really good look for Hollywood either.
No.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if Ezra Miller was, you know, fighting the allegations and denying everything and whatnot, then you could at least say the studio, you know, okay, well, we've listened to Ezra's story, and you know, we think there's a little bit of, you know, some things going on, and maybe not the full story's been out there, so you know, we're going to kind of lay low for a minute here before we make any rash decisions. But there's none of that. It's a guy avoiding the police, avoiding all of this stuff, and like you said, nobody's holding anybody's feet to the fire. I mean, it feels like almost like even Ezra Miller, everybody's kind of like just, whatever. It's Ezra Miller, you know, what did you expect, kind of thing. You know, it's like, no, that's not how we should be acting in this case. We should at least be saying, can you at least come and talk, give us your side of the story, maybe, and let us, you know, hear what you have to say, and then maybe we can say, okay, maybe things have gotten a little more out of hand than they should have, and everybody just needs to calm down for a minute. But we don't even have that option.
No. And the running from the authorities thing is like a big red flag. Like I'm guilty.
Yeah, you would at least think Warner Brothers would be like, hey, we implore Miller to, you know, work with authorities and investigators and stuff like this and stuff like that. We don't even get that. That is the craziest thing. I mean, what other workplace could any of us work at where we're on the run from authorities, which I'm sure the authorities have gone to Warner Brothers and kind of inquired about this, and yet we're still going to be on payroll? I don't think so. That just doesn't exist. So either Ezra Miller has something on this current suite of executives, incriminating photos or something, or incriminating text, or Warner Brothers is just dropping the ball, and I think that's more accurate.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in Warner Brothers. I really am, and Zaslav too, because I mean, he like I said, he came in and there were a lot of high hopes for him. And this is the first big test for him, and he's failing miserably, absolutely miserably. Yeah, and this is the Chapek level PR blunder. Yeah, and maybe even worse than a lot of the Chapek thing, to be honest.
I think I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. Okay, you know, we talk about the G word as associated with Disney. Well, now you have somebody here that's, you know, maybe had some critical allegations of that. Imagine if Ezra Miller was working with Disney. That would be a whole other thing, right? As we described in other ways on this whole thing. So there's a big test, and like you said, OG, you know, I think this kind of, they're really kind of failing it here, and it's making everybody look bad. I mean, sure, maybe Hollywood or the entertainment community or entertainment journalists aren't holding Ezra's feet to the fire, but a lot of people on the peripheral are. They're looking at this, and to your point, I think if you put this film out there, it's going to have a lot of this baggage attached to it. And yeah, it might be dead in arrival, which would make two films that might be dead in arrival. One being Aquaman 2 having, you know, a Miss Amber Heard attached to it, and now with this, not going all that well for the DCEU.
No, definitely not. Yeah. They're in a world of hurt right now. We'll see how it pans out. Yeah, we've got to get more though from Warner Brothers than just sources say. The Warner needs to come out and say this guy is no longer employed by us. This is getting nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. I think they should take a strong stance on this. You know, more controversy for the DCEU, but you know what else is new, right? And it really, I think it kind of speaks to how remarkable the MCU has been up to this point. You know, it's been very much free of a lot of these issues that could have sprung up. I mean, they took a big risk with Robert Downey Jr. back with Iron Man 1, right? I mean, he was coming off of some pretty, you know, some would say heinous stuff, and nobody would give him a chance. And I mean, you know, Kevin Feige and others put all their eggs in that basket. Remember, that was at a time when the MCU was just kind of on its own. Right. I didn't have the big Disney backing and so forth. If that would have gone any differently, they would have lost their shirt, and the MCU wouldn't be part of the kind of cinematic realm as we know it today. But hey, it worked out, and it's worked out for, 30 films at this point? It's remarkable.
Sector 2. Malfunction in Sector 2. All droids will be shut down for reloading of labor programs. Stand by for power disconnect.